Bueno, emango diogu hasiera apurtzuet, lehenengo eta behin euskaraz egingo dut apurtzuet, eta gero erderaz, bale? Ongietorria eman nahi diot mintegi honetara pertsona guztiei. Proposamen hau egiteko lan eta ardualdi egin dituzten pertsona guztiek eskertu nahi ditugu. Animatzen zaituztegu bi egunetako iraupen duen jardunaldi honetan parte izatera. Gure arreba palestinarren basakerien kontrako eta okupazioaren kontrako borrokak partekatzeari. Argi eta garbi esaten dugu, posiblea dela beste mundu bat. Israelgo gobernuari eskatzen dizkiogu palestinarren kontrako bortizkeriako amaiera. Okupazio militarraren amaiera, kolonia ilegalen berehalako eraizpena eta nazioarteko zuzenbidearen eta herri palestinarren sobirotasunarekin errespetu kezkatia. Desde Sodepaz, como organización autónoma y autosostenible, integrada en redes y movimientos sociales, apoyada en y por una masa asociativa activa, siendo un referente en la cooperación al desarrollo internacional, un movimiento social transformador y un constructor de discurso y conciencia en cuanto a la intervención política local, y un enlace entre el mundo de la solidaridad, la política de base y las ONGs. Queremos contribuir a la movilización política, el empoderamiento popular y la construcción de otros mundos posibles a través de la cooperación al desarrollo en los países empobrecidos, trabajando con organizaciones sociales locales, y la construcción de conciencia colectiva crítica en el norte, mediante la creación de difusión y discursos, además de prácticas transformadoras, el diseño y la ejecución de programas, contenidos y acciones de sensibilización y promoción y realización de un trabajo cooperativo en redes, destinado al conjunto de la sociedad. Palestina vive un presente inquietante. Acaba de recordar su 71 aniversario de la Nakba, el desastre en árabe, que supuso la creación del Estado de Israel en 1948 y el consiguiente éxodo forzado de millones de personas. Desde hace un año, el pueblo palestino pide su regreso en unas marchas del retorno que se han cobrado las vidas de centenares de manifestantes, entre ellos docenas de menores. Al mismo tiempo, el gobierno de Benjamín Netanyahu tiene más respaldo que nunca por parte de Estados Unidos con el traslado de la embajada a Jerusalén o con el reconocimiento de la soberanía de Israel sobre los altos del Golán. Pero no solo. Alrededor de 42 países toman parte de una manera acrítica en el reciente Festival de Eurovisión que se ha celebrado en Tel Aviv, argumentando que esta cita es solo un musical. Sodepaz quiere situar el foco en otro lugar, en espacios y voces pretendidamente enmudecidas, con especial atención en las mujeres y en su resistencia ejemplar. Con este objetivo, organizando el seminario Conmemoraciones y Cuestiones Silenciadas, Palestina y la lucha de las mujeres. Comenzamos hoy martes 21 de mayo con la conferencia magistral de Rayi Surani, abogado de los derechos humanos, premio Robert F. Kennedy, que hablará sobre la situación de Gaza. Un espacio moderado por nuestra compañera María Ángeles Fernández, de la coordinadora Pícara Magazine, que luego nos hará la presentación del propio Rayi. Tras él será el momento del sistema jurídico israelí y su represión sobre las mujeres palestinas, con tres de ellas: Lamia Yebren, presente en la sala y que luego participará en la mesa; Arej Abu Bakra, directora del Comité Técnico de Asuntos para la Mujer. Tenemos que informar en este sentido que ha tenido un problema de salud ayer por la mañana, justo horas antes de su partida desde Jerusalén, y no va a poder estar con nosotros físicamente. Hará una conexión a las 6 de la tarde, será la primera de ellas, ¿vale? Entonces nos dará un poco su ponencia por Skype, ¿no? Sentimos un poco este contratiempo. Y también, como teníamos presente, estará vía Skype también la feminista que acaba de salir de prisión y que integra el Frente Popular para la Liberación de Palestina, Halida Yarrar. La mesa de la tarde la moderará la directora de CEAR Euskadi, Patricia Bárcenas. Y a partir de mañana, no os quiero cansar mucho, creo que todos tenéis el programa y lo difundiremos por las redes. Tendremos otro día, yo creo que otra tarde maravillosa para compartir. Y por todo esto, y para celebrar el primer seminario sobre Palestina y sus mujeres, queremos agradecer de antemano a todas las participantes del seminario, así como a las moderadoras y a todos los presentes en la sala. Y sin más dilación, le doy la palabra a María Ángeles Fernández.
Hola, Arratsaldeon, buenas tardes a todas y a todos. Yo, pues evidentemente seré rápida porque lo único que voy a hacer es presentar al ponente que tenemos hoy con nosotras. Antes de nada quiero agradecer a Sodepaz por organizar este espacio y sobre todo por centrarnos en la lucha de las mujeres, que en muchos casos es invisibilizada y que creo que tenemos que hacer el ejercicio de mirar con más detenimiento a estas luchas que hasta ahora no han tenido el espacio público y de conocimiento que creo que se merece. Y bueno, Rayi Sourani, que está aquí a mi izquierda, muchas gracias por venir y por tener la amabilidad y el tiempo para contarnos de primera mano la situación que se está viviendo en Gaza. Él es abogado, nacido en Gaza, especializado en derechos humanos. En el año 91 ya recibió el premio Robert Kennedy de Derechos Humanos, que es un galardón con bastante prestigio internacional, y 4 años después, en el 95, fundó el Centro Palestino de los Derechos Humanos, del que sigue siendo presidente. Entre otros muchos cargos y competencias, pues es miembro de la Comisión Internacional de Juristas de la Federación Internacional de la Liga de Derechos Humanos y de la Organización Árabe de Derechos Humanos. Aparte de hablar por su visión como jurista y como conocedora de las diferentes legislaciones, pues él ha estado en prisión, ha sufrido tortura, entonces aparte pues podrá contar de primera mano y por la experiencia de su cuerpo, lamentablemente, lo que hace Israel con las violaciones de derechos humanos, ¿no? Que implican también en la vida de las personas. Ha sido una voz crítica también con lo que pasa en el pueblo palestino, con las políticas palestinas, es decir, que va a ser bastante crítico, tanto para un lado como para el otro, porque bueno, a veces es interesante también tener esta visión. Y bueno, ya para terminar, pues decir que en 2013 recibió lo que se conoce como el Premio Alternativo de la Paz. El Premio Nobel Alternativo de la Paz es el Right Livelihood Award. Y bueno, pues creo que su voz es bastante pertinente en unos momentos como esos que ya he contado un poco que para el principio el contexto actual. Y bueno, pues sin más, le invito a que nos cuente la situación de Gaza y toda su experiencia como jurista y como palestino gazatí. Muchas gracias y...
Thank you so much, and thank you for this introduction. Thanks for Sodepaz for their interest and being following what's going on in Palestine. And it's great to be in the Basque country with the friends and comrades in Bilbao. This year coincide 72 years of Nakba and 51 years of criminal belligerent occupation to the rest of Palestine, Gaza, West Bank, including Jerusalem. And it's also coincide with 25 years of Oslo Accords, which was supposed to be, as those who made it, called a peace process between the Palestinians and the Israelis. What is the harvest of all these years? It's simple, clear, and bold. Reality is there. First, Jerusalem subject to ethnic cleansing, Judaization, unprecedented buildings of settlements surrounding it, curtailing it and disconnecting it from the rest of the West Bank, and expanding Jerusalem to be 1/6 of the West Bank. De facto and de jure, Jerusalem ruled out, and it's out of the negotiations. And President Trump and his declaration put another cement to demonstrate in a clear-cut way that Jerusalem is not subject for negotiation. Regarding West Bank, 70% of it controlled by the Israeli laws, I mean civil law, not military orders. There is 1 million Israeli transferred to the West Bank cities, settlements. And all these settlements connected by complicated road network, bypass roads with the Israeli cities. So it is day after day like an integral part of Israel, and de facto annexation happened to it. What's left? Gaza, 365 square kilometers only. 2 million Palestinians living in it, and it's subject to siege for the last 13 years. 13 years of criminal, illegal, inhuman siege suffocated the entire Gaza Strip, socially, economically, crippled it, and shifted Gaza to be sort of animal farm, international community dumping some food and medicine to it, just to make people able to survive and live, stripping them from their dignity. This is unique harvest, and draw a very bleak black picture about reality. Adding to that, the Israeli resolution of suggesting that there is one nation to have the right of self-determination in historical Palestine, it's the Israeli Jews. So for them, simply we don't exist. Palestinians don't exist anymore there. So there is no partner, there is no other people, there is no Nakba, there is no Palestinian state, there is no self-determination for Palestinians. There is two things left. President Abbas, I think he would be the last president of the Palestinians. There is no need for other president after him. And Palestinian Authority, which will vanish ultimately, I think, soon. Maybe by the end of the year, maybe in 2 years, but it's in a process of vanishing. What are the main concerns of the Palestinian people in the occupied territories? I don't think we are worried about existence, our existence. I don't think we are worried about the Palestinian people who will be there or not. We Palestinian people have been there since ever. We will continue there forever. No power on earth would be able to remove us from our homeland. We are the stones of the valley, and the valleys of the stone doesn't leave. Water will come, will pass, season after season, the stones of the valley will remain there. But meanwhile, it's incredible, unprecedented situation. What is the major or main human rights violations basically there? I think we came to a level where Gazans complain after 13 years of criminal, illegal, inhuman siege about this crime against humanity and say, we want to live with dignity as human beings. We cannot deny movement for goods and individuals, and we have to stand as a human being. this is not too much to ask. And it's obviously crime. The ICRC, the Red Cross, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, FIDH, ICJ, all these international respected bodies, plus all UN mechanisms, with no exception, the special rapporteurs, even the last commission of inquiry about the siege, all suggested this is a crime against humanity and should be stopped. Even Israeli human rights organizations joined the same thing. So there is absolute consensus that siege on Gaza consists crime against humanity, should be lifted, and it cannot be tolerated anymore. People in Gaza cannot treat their water, they cannot treat their sewage, and they cannot treat their electricity. Not because they are lack of knowledge or will, no, because this is the biggest man-made disaster. People have it all. They have the knowledge, they have the resources. You are talking about one of the most highest percent of university graduates on earth, and you are talking about very strong business community, and you are talking about skilled working class, but none of them being allowed to practice their humanity. This is the biggest man-made disaster. It's totally disconnected from the outside world, and nobody from outside is allowed to come in. They didn't satisfy with that. They were not happy with that. But adding to that, 3 major wars launched against Gaza. And Gaza, in these 3 occasions, in 2008, 12, and 14, was like elephant in the gardens. In these most dense populated areas, civilian targets were in the eye of the storm. Thousands killed, tens of thousands of houses destroyed, infrastructure razed, pain and suffering, and inability to reconstruct what has been destroyed. And that's, made Gaza basic infrastructure, especially in health, education, unable to function even with the minimal. So siege is there, and it's crippling, as I said, the situation in Gaza. And as a result, and as harvest of that, we're having 65% unpaid or unemployed, 90% under poverty line, and 85% depends entirely on the rations of UN UNRWA or other charity organizations. Are Gazans nation of beggars? Are we nation of beggars? We are freedom fighters. We are people with dignity, deserved, but we are not allowed to enjoy it. They want to push everybody in Gaza, of the 2 million, to leave it. As UN OCHA report suggested, Gaza an inhabitable place in 2020. No, it's 5 years ago it's an inhabitable place. And it's a miracle that people, continuing as such. And it's mission impossible to continue there. They want to send message, no tomorrow, no hope, no work, no Palestinian state, all what you can get, misery, death, and threatening of more and more misery for you now and in the future. I think Palestinian people fate, destiny, they have no right to give up. And we have no right to be good victim for anybody on earth. It's not human even, to be good victim. We are entitled for self-determination, and we will do it. And self-determination means we do have the right to practice our right of self-determination using all ways and means. But even when we resort to very peaceful ways of resistance, as in Bal'in, or as in the Great March of Return and breaking the siege in Gaza, we have to be faced with guns, bullets, killings, imputations, even by snipers. And this is the story of the Great March of Return. It's not that fact, the siege inhuman, and it's a crime against humanity, but when all political parties, civil society, and ordinary people in Gaza came into consensus that they will demonstrate peacefully at the borders of Gaza in a very specific designated area. No violence will be used, and the organizers will guarantee that it's peaceful 100%. And when we even weren't asked by the Palestinian political parties, we endorsed that 100%, and we encouraged it, and we said yes, it's very important, to do such, though we have to know in advance, through the Palestinian experience, Israel won't like it. Israel, like always, Palestinian being seen as a terrorist, and they can manipulate and control media, and they can pass this message. So the organizers should take 100% care that these demonstrations are really peaceful and guarantee it's peaceful and doesn't pose any threat on life, even of the Israeli soldiers on the Gaza borders. So far, 15 months, every Friday, tens, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians go demonstrate at 5 designated areas in Gaza. Old, young, including children, including women. Nobody forcing them. Nobody's taking them there. Nobody recruiting them and taking them there. They are going there willingly. And they are not one color. It's the entire Palestinian political rainbow, everybody, almost, going there and participate. Not in a single case in 15 months, a life of the Israeli soldier, whose legitimate target for resistance has been threatened, or the activities posed any threat on an Israeli soldier. With that, what had happened? Israel redeployed 2 weeks before this Great March of Return happened. 200 Israeli snipers, and the general of staff, not ordinary person, the commander of the Gaza Strip, military commander of the Gaza Strip, said in a clear-cut words, before anything began, we know what they are going to do. We are not allowing this to happen, and we will deal with them with bullets, fire, guns, and killing. This is not allowed. People didn't accept that, they demonstrated. And they demonstrated as it was agreed upon, what had happened, and I will tell, one simple example of the first day of that Great March of Britain. I personally was there. From the border to the point of entry, you are having almost 1 kilometer, 600 meters. So it's long distance. And people were there in tens of thousands in the Gaza City border. And about 3, 4 in the afternoon, I was like 300 meters away from the fence. Some of the people who were there were doing dabki. Some others were giving political speeches. Some others were just sitting. Entire families were there, father, mother, children, etc. And out of the blue, the drones in the sky began to bomb with tear gas all over the place, even up to 1 kilometer from the place. And out of the blue, the shooting began. Shooting began by snipers, and you began to see people either falling because they were hit in the leg or in the thigh or in the belly or in the chest, or some others were dying because they were directly shot to the head by the sniper. And at the first day, where no single soldier life were under a threat, this had happened, and the harvest was thousands of injuries, hundreds of amputations, and almost 16 or 17 has been killed. So this is a count of one day in the very beginning, and this went on and on all the way along in the last 15 months. Maybe Palestinians are liars. They don't tell the truth. Maybe international organizations, which is professional, independent, lied about what's going on. But UN Human Rights Council formed a commission of inquiry, 39 experts headed by commission of 3 top-notch experts recognized internationally, the president from Argentina and his 2 aides, one from Africa, the other from Pakistan. And the 3 of them concluded nobody can tell Palestinians where to demonstrate. Nobody can deny Palestinians the right of freedom of expression. Nobody have the right to tell the Palestinians where to demonstrate on Gaza borders or in the Gaza City. Israel claims of targeting instigators absolutely false, illegal, and meaningless. More, what Israel doing consists crime against humanity. More, Israel should be held accountable, and they refer that the file be transferred to the ICC, International Criminal Court, to fit charges and bringing those who are responsible to the court of law. Israel, in simple words, in all this, practiced rule of jungle, not the rule of law. They have no legitimacy whatsoever to do anything against those demonstrators who were committed 100% to the rules, I mean, they set and the rules which is recognized internationally. Maybe Gazans are ugly, maybe Gazans are bad, maybe in Gaza we have Hamas, which is horrible. But we have fantastic president, I mean, President Abbas, who is in the West Bank, and the Israelis were little bit angry because they wanted the Nobel Peace Award to be represented to Abbas, even not to Yasser Arafat. And they were saying all the way long, this is the excellent partner, he's our partner, and he's a great man. They don't talk to him anymore. They consider him as inciter, as instigator. Whether he knows or not, they began all these practices in unprecedented level and scale, especially in Jerusalem at his time. President Carter, who's the guarantor of the peace process, and which the first two sentences in the peace process of Oslo Accord suggest Gaza West Bank, including Jerusalem, one integrity political zone. He took it out, and the Israelis took it out, and it wasn't even subject in their last elections last month. Nobody addressed it or talked about it. And regarding the West Bank, till this moment, till this day, our president, when he leaves, he needs permission from the Israelis. Till this moment, they encourage every day villages, camp cities in the West Bank. Till this day, arrests and killings happen in Ramallah, Nablus, in the middle of Nablus and Ramallah and Hebron. The Israelis have absolute free hand everywhere in the West Bank. Settlements flourishing, expanding, vertically, horizontally, new settlements every day are built. Land confiscation still going on. So the Israelis have no limits in their practice of annexing de facto and de jure the West Bank. And that's why ultimately, after a short time, there will be no president of the PA and there will be no PA anymore. Palestinians are in this year, in the worst year ever in their history. And as I said once and again, the reason of doing that, making Palestinians giving up, losing hope in tomorrow and in the future, leave. We resorted to universal jurisdiction in the area of law. And we said if Palestinians are terrorists, they cannot resort to law. They cannot use law. But when we used that, and we used it effectively, they were very angry. And they didn't like it. We made it in Audiencia Nacional in Madrid, and we were able to have a decision against 7 of the Israeli leaders in 2013, January 29. And the 7 were Goura Island, the head of the strategical planning in the Israeli army, Doron El-Mog, who was the military commander of the Gaza Strip, and 5 others, among them the head of the Shabak and the head of the General of Staff and the defense minister of Israel. It was unreal when we saw the same day in the evening Martinius, the foreign minister of Spain, standing up and making public apology to Tzipri Livni and saying sorry, because independent, respected court in Spain, the highest court of rule of law, took a decision against Israel, and he promised that he will fix the law and change it. And effectively, November same year, the Spanish law, it changed. It's Kafka. I mean, by all meanings and standards, providing more immunity for suspected war criminals, proven by the highest court in Spain, that was totally unexpected. We are not talking about Ouagadougou. We are talking about Europe. This is the foreign minister in Europe. In London, we were able to have decision against two, Tzipri Livni and Doron Mog. The British, we were able to go to the court directly. And then the British said, no, from now on you cannot go to the court directly. First, you have to ask the anti-terrorist unit at the British police and to provide it with full file, and they have to study, evaluate, and then give the consent on that. And if they give the consent on that, then the Foreign Office should give their approval. And the approval of the Foreign Office can be done if the visitor not in special mission. So another door closed. Switzerland, we went to the military prosecutor, filed, same fate, same destiny, and the law made it immune. So Europe, de facto and de jure, providing political immunity for Israeli suspected war criminals. Maybe we are wrong. Maybe universal jurisdiction not for Palestinians. Maybe we are, as the Israelis say and suggest, that we are misusing law, misusing international law, international humanitarian law. And we are terrorists in suits. So, we said there is window opportunity through the ICC, International Criminal Court. Shall we resort to it? We said that's fair, and that's feasible, and we can do it. So we began with a group of lawyers, especially after exhausting entirely the Israeli legal system, meaning in the ICC, first question the prosecutor or the judge will ask you with, before you come to us, did you try to go to the Israeli legal system, or as it's called in law, did you exhaust national jurisdiction or not? Yes, ma'am, we did. Here's the files, names, dates, numbers. We did the right thing. And the Israeli High Court of Justice, on the case of siege, for example, they said nobody should be worried about famine in Gaza. There will be no famine in Gaza. We count the calories, and we know nobody will die from hunger. They are not ashamed of using the words of Nazis in the Second World War. That's what they used to speak about Jews. They are not ashamed of that. Occupation, like somebody standing on a quicksand. Every move does sink. You move more, you sink more. The worst, it's not the physical thinking. It's not the physical sinking. It's the moral sinking. The state has no moral. What they call it, wrongly, the oasis of democracy of the Middle East, it's the evil. It's the one who practices the rule of jungle. Why we hate Bin Laden? Why we hate ISIS? Because they are doing rule of jungle. What's the difference between Israel and Bin Laden in practice? For me as a lawyer, it's very simple formula. Facts, standards, conclusions. Just as simple as that. That's how Europe should think, or how they are thinking. But no, it's Israel. That should be fine. That's the shame, not of Israel, of Europe. We provided to the ICC 4 files, a group of 4 Palestinian organizations, Al-Haq, PCHR, Al-Mizan, Damir. And these 4 very strategical ones. And it's not only done by some hunky-bunky Palestinian lawyers. No, there's something like 20-25 top experts across the globe who contributed and built these submissions with very solid facts. One regarding the siege of Gaza, the second 2014 offensive, and the third, it's about settlements in Jerusalem and the West Bank, and the last one, it was about pillage. Of course, we are not the only one who submitted these submissions. Many international human rights organizations, many civil society organizations, many Israeli human rights organizations and witnesses, and thousands of Palestinian victims. So they have more than enough of evidence. For a preliminary investigation, I met with prosecutor of the ICC last June. And in the presence of the head of preliminary investigations, she said, in a clear-cut, direct, simple way, by the end of the year, Palestine file will be at the table of the court of the ICC. I'll make the referral. In July, John Bolton, His Excellency, the one in charge of national security in the US, stand for the first time ever. National Security Advisor at the White House speaks publicly in a press conference addressing the prosecutor of the ICC and in simple words telling her the following: if the ICC prosecutor dared to take any decision, if any of her aides, advisors dared to do anything, if any of the judges in the court dare to do and take decision against US or Israel or against US allies, we will expire their visas, we will freeze their accounts, and we will take due legal procedure. He means arresting them. I mean, Europe didn't say any word, very polite and nice, though they are signatory of the ICC Rome Statute Convention. No reaction whatsoever. So, Palestinians compromised historical Palestine for 22% of it. That means Gaza, West Bank, including Jerusalem, with the unalienable rights of the Palestinian people. But you are denied that. And they clearly denied that. And Israel doesn't recognize that, and they don't want to recognize that, and they won't enable you even for this minimal. I think it's the time to go back to PLO statute in 1965, which says one Palestinian state, democratic, secular, for Palestinian, for Muslims, Christians, and Jews. The Israeli claim all the way long was, yes, but this is a call to destroy the Israeli state. We want the purity of our state. You don't want that? You don't want to recognize that? I think they made the choice, not us. It's not dignified to be a good victim, and we will not be good victims. We do have just, fair, and right cause. We know we are defending it. We are people with dignity. We are entitled for self-determination. We know we are on the right side of history. And we know all the free, committed people who believe in rule of law, democracy, and human rights across the globe do stand firmly with the Palestinian people and their struggle for the freedom and independence. We are aware tomorrow is ours, and we one day shall overcome as a Palestinian people. Thank you.
Pues muchas gracias por tu intervención, por la concreción, porque ha sido en este rato que le has estado hablando, nos ha contado cómo desde Oslo ha ido... perdón. Gracias por la intervención, por la claridad de tus ideas. Ahora vamos a dar paso a vuestras preguntas, a vuestras dudas, a establecer un tiempo de debate. Pero bueno, creo que está bien destacar un poco cómo ha hecho una descripción de la situación de Palestina desde Oslo hasta hoy, cómo se ha conseguido dividir al pueblo palestino en tres espacios muy claramente diferenciados, con unas situaciones muy, muy diferentes. Y cómo aún así, a pesar de todas las trabas burocráticas, como la legislación internacional de derechos humanos ha contado detalladamente, no se tiene en cuenta y queda impune y cómo se están posicionando hacia un lado, cómo el pueblo palestino sigue resistiendo, y el ejemplo más claro son las marchas de los viernes, que llevan 15 meses sucediendo y que parece que van para largo. Bueno, a mí personalmente me ha hecho sentir vergüenza de esta Europa en la que estamos, ¿no? Porque, por lo que has descrito. Y me ha sorprendido que has empezado, te voy a hacer yo la primera pregunta, que has empezado hablando de un futuro negro, ¿no? Porque hablabas hasta el final de Abbas, el final de la autoridad palestina, pero has acabado hablando de que el futuro os pertenece, de que el futuro pertenece al pueblo palestino. ¿Cómo sacar fuerzas o cómo seguir luchando contra un sistema y una opresión en la que ni siquiera el derecho internacional está siendo lo que es realmente un Estado de un derecho? ¿Por qué pintas este futuro tan esperanzador por un lado, cuando has hecho una descripción bastante dura de la realidad, y por un lado también desesperanzadora, ¿no? Creo que ha habido como dos partes muy claras en tu intervención.
Claro. The worst thing in life, when you be a good victim. I mean, it's the worst thing ever. You just surrender. You just give up. And you give up for unjust, unfair reasons. For criminals who do war crimes against humanity on a day-to-day basis. I'm doing my work as a lawyer in defense of Palestinian political prisoners and Palestinian victims for the last 40 years or so. I know it. I lived it. I lived it in my life. I lived it on my skin. And I'll never, ever give up as a person. I know our cause is right, just, fair, and what the Israelis doing, evil, and they have no right to do it. So it's not even human to give up. It's not human to be a good victim. Realizing the difficulties and facts on the ground, and I know it's not easy. I know that Israel, mighty, powerful, and they can impose what they want. And I know regionally we are in a deep shit. I mean, it's not ideal situation what the Arab countries doing vis-a-vis Palestine. It's the worst. And I know what's U.S. position, which give absolute full support for the Israelis. And Trump, he's like having too much chocolate in his box, and he's giving Jerusalem, the Golan Heights, and I don't know what else. I mean, in a few months he will give the rest of the West Bank, I mean, to the Israelis. So.
One moment, please. No está llegando el sonido a la cabina. ¿Nada?
Yes? Should I be closer? See?
¿No llega nada? Bueno, ¿cabina nos escuchan? Ok.
Sí.
Vale, parece que...
Ok.
Ok, go.
You can continue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is, I mean, from one side. The other side, in the old Rome, there was the law. And the law in Rome lived two categories. There were slaves and masters. And in the old Rome, those who enjoyed the law, only the masters. The slaves have no rights. They can be slaughtered, beaten, killed. They have no right. I think Europe disrespect the intelligence of the people, and they think we are the slaves of the world. We have no right to enjoy international law, international humanitarian law, and the human rights. It's only for Europe and Israel. That's stupid, and that's ugly, and that's very fatal. It's helping nobody. It doesn't help Europe. It doesn't help Israel. It doesn't help US. We are talking about a revision nowadays. Everybody talk about a revision. We talked about it in 1998. 1998 we spoke about the revision. There is something called the association agreement between EU and Israel. And we said then, till today, this association agreement provide privileges for the state of Israel. And it has in Article 2 very simple condition. If Israel violates human rights, this should be suspended. I mean, the condition, Israel respect human rights. Now, there is youth exchange between Israel and EU. The 29 countries in Europe have full youth exchange between Israel and Europe, meaning the youth in these 29 countries go and the Israelis come and visit. We are not allowed to leave Gaza. We are not allowed to leave it. We are not allowed to be normal. And they do that, and they know that. They have scientific cooperation. They have academic exchange. More, 71% of Israeli trade goes to Europe, free of taxes. Nobody touching that. More, even in sports, Israel part of the Europe League. Even in the UN, Israel part of the UN European bloc. They attend the same meetings, of Europe. Israel despoiled country by Europe, and we blame Trump only. Of course, Trump should be blamed. US should be blamed. But what Europe is doing, that's why we feel ugly and bad. One last thing, because I began with the revision, I think this was a great success for Palestinians and their friends. You know, in Portugal last year, 90,000 traveled to Portugal. Those who went to Israel, 9,000. So the tickets were not sold, and the hotels were empty. And it was disappointment, for the Israelis. And Palestine and Gaza were in the heart of the revision. Nobody skipped it. Nobody was able to do that, you know, as really, I mean, they wished. So it's not like having the Eurovision in Tel Aviv, it's the big thing. No, even having it there, it was a big failure, and it was excellent opportunity for those who really, I mean, want Israel to be held accountable sort of success on the people-to-people level. Yes.
Gracias. ¿Alguna pregunta?
مساء الخير صخبرك أهلا وسهلا هون في بسكاليريا. I want to say something that I was reading days before. It's about a plane that suggested by the Israel terrorist band, and of course with the accord with United States, and by the way with European Union, to keep all Palestinians from Gaza and all Palestinians from West Bank, and also Palestinians from 48, yeah, and translate these people, throw these people to the island who Turkey, I think, give to Saudi Arabia, and Gaza's people goes to part of the Sinai.
I'm not here to talk politics. If you have something related to human rights, please ask.
No.
I'm not a politician, all right?
Yeah.
Talk to me as a human rights.
I want to know if you have some idea about this project.
I didn't understand what your question.
People from West Bank and people from
Yes,
Gaza,
what about them?
Yes, they will be go by the force.
What?
They will be go by the force to the transfer. Yes. Sorry, to Sinai or to two islands between Saudi Arabia and Eilat port.
They are saying that since 1948, nothing new. Don't care about it. Yeah.
Así sí más. Vale, yo he visto un poco cuál es la situación que nos ha explicado, y la idea de que no quieren ser... perdón. Y bueno, pues viendo la situación en la que se encuentra Palestina y siguiendo un poco la idea esa de no ser good victims, yo me pregunto, sabiendo las terribles consecuencias que puede tener, si hay alguna posibilidad de lucha armada, de organizar una respuesta armada hoy por hoy, no sé si con apoyo de algún país vecino ante la situación.
Which neighbor country?
Yeah, that's another history.
As a human rights activist, have simply clear-cut ways. We say that in Gaza, we say that in New York, we say that in Europe. We Palestinians, having the Nakba, and the international community empowered us with our right of self-determination. Self-determination, it's legal, political terminology. It's not what Raja Turan is thinking. It's not what you are thinking. No, this is legal, political terminology. It's called in English, read my lips, self-determination. That we decide, no other body, no other people. We, the Palestinian people, decide about our self-determination. That means we think what is the most effective way we have to use. The international law gives us variety of options, very big menu. You choose. You want to sing? You can do it. You want to dance? You can do it. You want to shoot? You can do it. Bind with the law. Everything bind with the law. So right of self-determination, it's entitled for Palestinian people. Now, political leadership decide, I want to use this, I want to use that. That's something related to the political leadership, not me. But if you ask me, if the resistance ask me in Palestine, I say, yes, you are entitled to that right, but you have to do it according to the legal condition. You shouldn't target civilian, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Otherwise, I mean, it's absolutely, I mean, you're right. So, we are not now talking about the armed struggle. We are not talking about the active resistance. We are talking about the right of survival, the right of food, the right of health, the right of life, the right of movement. That's what we are talking about. That's what we are talking about. It's Kafka. You know, after 71 years of Nakba, we are talking about our right of life, our right of food, our right of medicine. Where are those guarantors of the peace process who said, we will guarantee, I mean, the two-state solutions? Where are they? They know, I mean, there is no peace, and there is no process, and Israel do the rule of jungle, and they know literally what's happening in Gaza, in Rafah, in Khan Yunis, in Jenin, in Silwad, in Al-Khan al-Ahmar, everywhere. They know it. So we know what we want, and I hope this, you know, being transferred into more effective way now and in the future. And I'm telling you, I mean, really, we feel strong because, of course, we have just fair and right case. But we are feeling stronger and more confident because the free, committed people across the globe do support this cause. We know that. We know it, it's in the US, in Tokyo, we know it in Gaza, we know it in South Africa and Sweden.
Hi Raji, welcome again to the Basque Country. Bueno, mi pregunta lleva porque desde hace unos años ya diversas instituciones vascas lideradas por el PNV están insistiendo en promocionar la colaboración con Israel a diferentes niveles, sea con delegaciones oficiales que viajan desde el País Vasco a Tel Aviv y devuelven la visita por parte del gobierno israelí, normalizando una situación de genocidio, sea a través de la universidad, donde se está colaborando en diferentes departamentos con universidades israelíes, que recordemos que muchas de ellas están construidas en territorios ocupados y colonias, o sea a través de promoción de que las empresas vascas colaboren con empresas israelíes. Eso está muy de moda hoy en día. Y ahí tenemos, por ejemplo, a la CAF, que está entrando en el concurso para construir la ampliación del tranvía de Jerusalén. Bueno, aquí hay que reseñar que la valiente decisión del comité de empresa de la CAF, que pidió a la dirección no entrar en el concurso, pero de momento la dirección no se ha posicionado, con lo cual quizá dentro de unos meses la CAF esté construyendo el tranvía de Jerusalén. ¿Qué mensaje trasladaría Raji desde Gaza a estas instituciones lideradas por el PNV que se llenan la boca de solidaridad y de derechos cuando están promocionando la colaboración con un gobierno genocida?
I'm very confused about the special relation between Netanyahu and the right in Europe. It's very confusing, me very much. Netanyahu having fantastic, good relation with the national parties, and though, in politics, the contradiction, Israel should be very alerted about them and their policies, their rational behavior and their positions. For some reason, it's weird for me why Israel is doing that. They having two different agendas and they are just confronting like that, but they are having this relation. Okay. What the national parties gaining from Israel, learning from Israel? Business? Money? But they are losing 22 Arab countries. That's not smart. That's very stupid. Even if they win money and they gain money and they make business, they want blood diamond? Blood diamond they want? They want to be involved in a war crime? This is something, they know, and they have to know their relation and building the Trump system, it's a war crime. And they will pay for it. And as we don't forget our friends, we will never ever forget or forgive for those who contributed to our pain and suffering and injustices. We will never forget or forgive. And one day, they will pay for that. One last thing I want to say, that the Human Rights Commissioner, one of the UN resolutions, it was simple and clear. They want to make the list of the companies who do such kind of violations, war crimes and crimes against humanity, and they are involved either in building the tram or they are involved in constructing settlements, or they are investing in the settlements, or they are investing in the projects in the settlements. Now, all these companies, which like 190, the first portion of it, the names will be published. Some of them already, the High Commissioner Office contacted them, and they gave them a notice, be aware that at some stage, if you don't pull out, we are going to publish these names. And I think this is one of the reasons that, having a business with Israel, something should be considered in the mind. Those who seek justice cannot be in double standards. We fought all our life for justice in Palestine against the occupation. But since PA came to Palestine, and Oslo Accords was in a process of implementation, we said, yes, we will continue working on the occupation agenda, but at the same time, we will work on Palestinian National Authority agenda. It's not occupation, it's national authority, and we have to engage with the rule of law, democracy, and the human rights with the Palestinian Authority. We are aware about the limits. We are aware they have no sovereignty, but we cannot wait till the Palestinian state comes a reality. So we want different stereotype of the Arabic countries in the region. We want, when Palestine comes, a state standoff, rule of law, democracy, and human rights. I was the first political prisoner by Arafat, and I spent all my life PLO. And I was in prison many times, harassed by the Israelis. But I cannot compromise the values. Past cannot compromise values.
Bueno, hay tiempo para una última pregunta. ¿Alguien se anima con la última?
Pues muchas gracias, Rayi, por la exposición, y un poco reflexionando, y por la experiencia personal también y otras experiencias que hemos tenido la suerte de poder conocer. Claro, es cierto, y también creo que la lucha armada en el caso en Palestina es cada vez más complicada. No sé, yo supongo también que por las formas de hacer la guerra, por las armas que se utilizan, que tiene al alcance el Estado de Israel, que Palestina pues no puede. Entonces me parece un enfrentamiento como de, si bien en un principio David era un Estado y Goliat era, o sea, un intento de Estado y Goliat otro, ahora creo que está a la inversa. Entonces es algo que ya descarto en mi forma de ver la situación. Recuerdo cuando estuvimos con Omar Barghouti, él me sorprendió que hablaba del gobierno de Trump como una oportunidad para el Estado palestino, y aquello fue una cosa que... Y se refería a que es muy obvio, es más obvio cada vez lo que Estados Unidos y el Estado de Israel está haciendo con Palestina. Creo que hay más medios, creo que estamos más informadas las personas fuera de Palestina sin haber conocido o no habiendo conocido la realidad. Y a lo mejor igual sí me gustaría darle el cierre a esto hablando de las oportunidades que tiene el Estado palestino a día de hoy, pues con esta nueva realidad, que es muy distinta a la de hace 70 años y que es cambiante, y creo que tiene oportunidades ahora, como el BDS, algunas otras planteamientos que se están haciendo y que requieren necesariamente del apoyo internacional. Entonces, si podíamos hablar de oportunidades por darle una guinda al pastel positiva.
I didn't understand what you are asking, or you are commenting only.
Sí. ¿Qué oportunidades le quedan? O desde tu punto de vista, ¿qué oportunidades tiene el pueblo palestino con la realidad tal y como es hoy en día en su lucha?
El BDS, ¿no?
Por ejemplo.
Boycott.
No. I'm not a politician. I'm insisting I'm not a politician. I don't want to talk politics. I'm talking politics of law. Politics, I mean, something politicians can talk about it. I'm not any party or representing anybody. I represent myself as a human rights activist. When I spoke and answered the issue of the armed struggle, I think I was simple and clear. I said legally we have the right to do that. I didn't suggest using or not. I mean, that's something I'm not involved in. But I said even when we dance, they shoot at you and kill you. You pay your life. Nurses, journalists, handicapped has been killed. Do you know what does that mean? You walk on the street, you find thousands of people with imputations. Imputations. Why? Because they demonstrate.
peacefully, practicing their right. They are not inventing anything. Death, that's what you deserve for civilized Israel. For the most moral army on earth, shame on them, shame. Kill nurses, killing handicapped, killing women, killing children. That's what they are doing. I'm saying at least we have no right to give up. Can you talk to these people? Can you talk to them? Convince them? Convince their families, their dears, people they love? You are going demonstrating peacefully. Just to do that, you deserve death. Why they are demonstrating? Because they want to break the siege. What is the siege? The siege is a crime against humanity, not by a Palestinian. International community saying and suggesting that. So what to do? We have to give up and say, we love you. Love thy neighbors. Listen, I mean, they are Israelis. They are Jews. We have to love them. No? We cannot. This is deep injustice. I'm telling you, we have no right to give up. Till the last breath, we have no right to give up. And we will never give up. We know we are in the right side of history. We know we are defending just, fair, right causes. We know they are supported by US and they are supported by Europe. It's not a reason or excuse for us to give up. Until the last breath, we will continue the fight and we will never, ever lose the hope.
Bueno, pues muchas gracias a Raji Sourani por su clarividencia en la exposición, por la contundencia de sus ideas. Y bueno, dejamos aquí esta primera mesa del seminario, 15 minutitos de descanso, creo, hasta las 6. 10, bueno, sí, 10 minutos para que salgamos a tomar el aire y bueno, volvemos en un ratito. Gracias.
Muy bien.